Cool. So we got both these going. Whoa.
Who are you with?
This is my partner.
Are you sure?
Sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down. He shaved his beard off, you guys.
Oh my gosh.
New beginnings. This is wonderful. What does it feel like? This is totally off topic, but.
Well, I'm 22. Now I'm 21. So.
No.
Huh?
Tell how old you are.
I'm about to be 30. But, yeah, I don't think I've shaved this low in about 3 years. So.
Yeah, you look like a baby.
Yeah, it's an adjustment, but.
So why did you shave off your beard?
The last few weeks, I guess I've been called to do, well, I'll be doing a fast as well on Wednesday. It's kind of the first water fast I've ever done. The last fast I've done was a fruit fast. That was epic. The one before that was involuntary for almost 2.5 days, and that was when I was in the hospital with my father. I just forgot to eat, and now I've just been called to do a fast to just repair whatever else needs to be repaired, and then from that repair, grow new hair. Repair, grow new hair. So I guess shaving cuts ties with all that old stuff that I'm last bit of letting go before I can fully immerse in my new
Doesn't
self.
he look so much younger? If you guys follow him, he just looks so much younger. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I have a jaw. And I have teeth.
All right.
Enough about me.
So we want to start off by explaining what we did this weekend. We went to a Leslie Zan, pretty much a training on business, and there were just so many aha moments for us. And I've had my businesses, well, my water business for about 4 years, my other businesses for about 1, and my blog for about 2. So I know the ins and out of business on this side of it, but bringing clarity to so much that we've gone through. And you want to tell them a little bit about how long you've had yours?
How what?
Your business?
Oh yeah, I've had my business for about 3 or 4 years. Again, this event was clarity, but it's also good reminders. And I think when some things become so simple and so repetitive, we tend to forget, and then we need to be reminded. So Leslie Zan did a great job of connecting dots we've already connected, and not only that, but just magnifying them, like how simple things can be. And I think a lot of times when people think about starting their own business, whether it's a water business like what we're doing, or for me, a personal trainer, or just any kind of entrepreneurial kind of way, you don't want to overcomplicate things. And when someone tells you, I'm doing a startup or I'm doing a new venture, immediately they're gonna go, is this what you want to do? Are you sure? It's gonna take a lot of your time. You're gonna have no life, yada, yada, yada. And,
Sorry. There we go.
and to an extent, maybe, but again, are you in full control? And so for me, having multiple businesses, starting with my personal training business, which has been my kind of foundation for all these years, I've branched out into coaching athletics, then becoming a strength conditioning coach and an elementary coach. And that took me into now life coaching, and also coaching, mentoring, motivating about the human body, health and wellness, hydration, learning more about water, now going into nutrition, changing my nutrition plan completely and what I follow in lifestyle, back to then fitness on how now a different view. So it's kind of starts as your foundation, you kind of branch out from what works for you, but also finding the we, not me. And when you're part of something that's bigger than you, you actually have a purpose. And I'm trying to tell myself, and people say, how are you doing? I say, thriving. And they catch them off guard. Like, whoa, okay, what are you thriving on? Life? And then in turn, I don't ask them anymore, how are they doing? I said, what made you wake up this morning? Not many people get asked that. And then you actually catch them in their hamster wheel, and they're like, and then they for 5 seconds, they're figuring out why am I even here? And I think that kind of a good way of using different dialogue and connections like that. But yeah, this weekend was very powerful. We took a lot of good notes that, again, if we tend to look down for a second, we want to help best you can. But yeah.
So I want to start with wherever you are in your business, these are things that have really been shown to us. And whether you're thinking about starting your own business, whether you have your own side hustle, whether you're looking to be a part of something bigger than yourself, the most important thing is to meet yourself where you're at. You know, so many of us strive for perfectionism, strive to be something, and we get so ahead of ourselves that we actually never meet ourselves where we're at. And when we don't do that, we're bypassing a process. And this could relate to wherever you are in your health journey as well, and or your self-development journey. So meeting yourself where you're at, you got to claim it. You got to claim it, you know, be vulnerable, be open with yourself. And this is where I think a lot of us aren't being vulnerable with ourselves, because we have such high expectations for ourselves that we kind of just jump over ourselves in that sense. And going a little further in that, there's a really good quote. Your present circumstances don't determine where you can go. They merely determine where you start. That's the starting line. Look at where you're at. Ask yourself, are you happy in life? Look at the things that you're a part of. Are you part of any tribes, any culture, any communities, any clubs, any sports, like anything that you're a part of? Do you feel like you're a part of something that can bring you out of your own head, you know, can really make you feel a part of something that's moving forward, because it can be really rewarding to do so. Maybe ask yourself if you're where you're at in your health or where you can be better. And that's the best question that I ask myself. And that's kind of an action step for you guys, is at any time in your life that you're depressed, you're stuck, you're anxious, you feel unworthy, ask yourself, how can I be better? In that moment.
Yeah, and I think a good analogy for you think about it is a pool. And if you jump in the pool, you don't know how to swim, are you going to ask for help? Or are you just going to keep treading and hopefully you don't drown, trying to find a way to find a floaty or find help or a step, and you're in the middle of a giant pool with nobody around you, you got to kind of ask for help. And being a male in this kind of, not industry, but in business in general, we try to tend to do things and figure it out on ourselves without asking for help. Because why? Asking for help is a sign of weakness. It's a sign of, I'm not good enough. It's, I can't figure this out on my own. I don't want to work with you. I don't want to follow you. But some of the biggest strengths I've uncovered and realized in business is asking for help. Who has had success? Who's done this before? Who's mastered the system? Who's done that?
Mentors.
My first year or two doing, you know, different businesses, especially water, was I didn't ask for help much. I tried to do it my way. I tried to reinvent things. And like that quote mentioned, you can start right now. But the first thing you should do is to reach out to someone who's had success and say, can I learn from you, because I don't know anything. Even if you got PhDs, if you got degrees, you got all these different things, where you're at right now and what you want to do, sometimes that first step is taking a step forward, but also reaching a hand out so someone else can grab you and pull you in and join you, not just kind of float away in the middle of a pool. So I think just asking for help early is important.
Yeah, and so the next topic is, well, what are you striving for? What are you manifesting? Are you collectively striving for something in a group? If you're a business owner, do all of you guys know the story that they're supposed to be subscribed to make it manifest? You know, in our tribe, we are here to create a change, and all of us step up to be our best selves. That's a story that we subscribe to. So ask yourself, what's the story that you've created for yourself? You know, for me, my story is I'm going to create the biggest change in society by being the change, by embodying it and sharing myself with the world, so that I can help be a way shower. I can help ignite the divinity in other people. So that's a story I told myself. So asking ourselves, what are our story? Like, what gets us out of bed in the morning and like actually gets us to move in life? You know, we can sit there and meditate all day long we want, and that's doing the inner work, but what about the balance of the masculine and the feminine parts of ourselves? So it's just a doing part. And the next question I want you to ask yourself, or I want to invite you to ask, that really hit me, is what are you doing now for future generations? This hits hard with business owners, because what are we doing now? How is it affecting the environment? What kind of people are we surrounding ourselves that's actually creating society where we are from? You know, our social construct of our business. What are we doing that is actually going to help set up systems for the next generation, you know? And so the way that the Native Americans thought was that we do things for the next 7 generations. How is this going to affect? What's your wake? That is the wake, right? What's the ripple effect that you leave after? And like, what's yours?
Well, a couple of years ago, I didn't look at that big picture. I had the tunnel vision of, well, as long as I'm making money, as long as my team is growing in my bubble, then it doesn't matter. And again, I was part of the me, not we. And so now I've changed that because, again, as time goes on, you want to pass this down to children and your grandchildren. And, you know, you can be a billionaire, millionaire, a CEO, 20,000 things. But at the end of the day, if there's no world to live and enjoy these things on, why even do it? And so if you flip that mindset and create the story of, okay, I have a blank book, I got a pen, I'm the author, what are your table of contents, what are your chapters, what are you going over? Well, once you finish that book, you don't want that book to just sit and collect dust. You want to hand it off to the next person and then the next person. So my story, my why is for not only to better myself, obviously, but for, like Julie said, the next generations.
I didn't know that was sideways.
Because without, you know, a planet, there's no plan and there's pretty much no future whatsoever. So I think subscribing to a timeline that is bigger than you, that gives you a purpose to say I'm part of something always bigger than me, but yet I can still take care of myself at the same time is a win-win.
And what keeps us from that? Okay, so let's say we have this big dream that we want to help the world, and
so easy.
Yeah, right? Well, a lot of us don't know where to start, and so we just give up. And a lot of the time, we experience failures and we experience blockages. Ask yourself, how are you changing the world? Do you have a vehicle to do so? You know, are you going to be a part of another company where you're selling products that are helping the world? Or are you selling products that aren't helping the world? Like, where are you at in your life? Ask yourself, how do you make a holistic? How do you make it all flow so that you can make money, so that you can help the world at the same time? Because there are ways to do that, you guys. There are ways. There are many ways. And when you go through obstacles, failure, how do you get back up? Can you get back up? There's two ways to react to failure. You let it dominate you and you stop doing it, or you learn from it. That's where we're at, right? We got to learn from what we're doing. And the fastest way to convert that, right? So the way that our tribe likes to call it is in the moment transformations, is when something's happening to you, how fast can you surrender to it, learn from it, transmute it, and move on from it? Because that'll actually help you move along faster and you'll actually get a lot out of it. Because a lot of us, when we go through an obstacle or an objection, we're like, oh no, this is happening to me. Like, why is this happening? We get so ahead of ourselves and we actually aren't seeing that the present moment is trying to show you something. Show you something that you have a strength in there, you have courage in there, you just got to find it a little.
Yeah, but sometimes there's a big F word that plagues us all. It's not the one word you're thinking about. It's FEAR, and that's fear of different things, whether it's failure, even having success, being judged. I know when I started opening different businesses, I was afraid of being judged. Oh, you're trying to do something again. Oh, you're going to mess up on that. And I subscribed to it. I said, oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a bad idea. But then myself was less like, what are you doing? This is the best idea ever. You should try to pursue it. So fear of failure, fear of change. We love routines. We love waking up at the same time. We love making sure we got our coffee at the same time, getting to the airport, getting to wherever, the classroom, no yada yada. No, consistent paycheck, retirement plan. I know what I'm doing, but routines can also be a hamster getting on a wheel and running for hours a day. But he gets nowhere. And he hops off and nothing really happened. There was no adversity, no nothing. So we get that kind of fear of getting stagnant. Even having success, some of us might not think that to make money or to help someone or to empower someone, you have to work 24/7, 365. That mantra has been instilled. I'm not saying don't work hard or don't work smart or don't work late hours and late nights, but don't let it make you its ruler to a point where you're literally have no power to it. And you're working just to work, not because you want to be doing that. And that's why I ask people, why'd you wake up today? Well, I got to go to work. You got to go to work. You don't do anything, right? You're literally giving your power away to being able to go to work. And so that fear of having success, that fear of routine, that fear of change, judgment, even failure. Obviously, we grew up in a society where we want to impress our parents. We want to make sure they're pleased because they give us so much. And up till college, they're taking care of us. It's almost like you have a subconscious burden that I can't let them down. They paid for my college. I can't let them down. I got to go to med school. I can't let them down. I got to go do this. And now you're creating another fear. But at the end of the day, close your eyes. You take a deep breath. Open your eyes. You're sitting in your chair.
Yeah.
All the things that I just said are thoughts. They're thought patterns that have been on the hamster wheel over and over. And when you realize all these fears are just scenarios and words that I put in my mind, then you can start breaking free from them, because that's when people start taking their power back. And it really, really does help when you do that into a new business, into a new lifestyle, new anything. You're peeling your onions on those fears, and once you do that, you feel a lot better.
Yeah, and it's a matter of changing the words. You know, instead of need, have, we choose to get up in the morning. We choose to work our business. We choose. Because everything is a decision. You choose the life that you have. You choose the love that you have. You choose these things. And that's why bringing the power back to us is so important. And going forward in everything that we want to do is you're empowering yourself. You're not disempowering yourself. So going back to what he was saying about judgment, judging the person for their success is something that happens a lot in our society, right? And so when you are feeling judged, there's actually a physiological reaction that happens in your body, because we all innately are scared of not belonging. This is something that Brene Brown talks about. If you guys want to look up her TED Talks, it's amazing. She talks about shame. And she talks about when we're shamed and we're judged by other people in our community, we literally have an instinct that we get scared, and our bodies, our nervous systems have a reaction because we don't fit in. And what happened, before, when we didn't fit in, we had to survive on our own and be alone. And that's not the way to survive in, ancient primal times. So in this day and age, we have to be aware that we have that trigger of not belonging, but moving through the trigger and being the one that shows the way, being the one that took the risk to do it on our own, so that we can stand there and say, this is how I did it, guys. This is how I did it. And you can join to do it with other people. And that's the beauty of not caring what people think, because in reality, you're kind of doing it for them. Because they're just going to sit there and talk. And then finally, when you cross that finish line, you're going to be like, hey, give me my water.
And remember, more times than none, when you're thinking about, if I'm caring what she's thinking about me, right? I'm in my own mind. I'm creating what I think she's thinking about. If I stopped and went in her mind, she's probably going, oh, what's Chris going to think about me? So if you really think about it, no one really cares about anybody. But yet we all think we care about one person, which is me. And then we've been programmed this and just have experience. No one likes getting picked last growing up. No one likes being left out. No one likes not making a team. No one likes not getting picked for a group project. No one likes being the only family member to not go to school. No one likes being left out and being picked on, and they feel like they're all by themselves, and now they can't do anything because, again, they're worried about what everyone else thought about them instead of what they thought about themselves. And that's the objection you've got to overcome within yourself before you can take one step. You have to realize that here I am now. I have to figure out what I want to do. Sure, I might have a fear of money. I might have a fear of failure. I might have a fear of rejection. I might have a fear of change, fear of success. But again, those are all emotions, fears that you create in your mind, where in reality, everything's right in front of you. You just got to want to see it and pursue it. And I think that's very important.
And that leads me to perfectionism. What keeps us from stepping out and getting rid of that whole judgment, caring what people think? We live in a box of perfectionism, really. If we're not perfect, then we won't go out. If we don't, dress a certain way, be a certain way, act a certain way, we set these expectations for ourselves. So perfectionism is the number one killer of success. It is. Because nobody is actually 100% perfect unless you actually believe all the imperfections are perfect. But when you come from that place of, ask yourself, where am I being a perfectionist? That's where you're being really hard on yourself, because we have been programmed in school. Think about it. Were you programmed to be perfect in sports? Were you programmed to be perfect in a society where every man, every woman is looking perfectly? Well, stop being so hard on yourself, because no one is. And that's the thing. What really gets people today is authenticity, being yourself. You can't be yourself if you're striving to be perfect all the time. And that keeps you from doing things. And what they find is that underneath perfectionism, it's actually procrastination. So when you are procrastinating, ask yourself, am I trying to be perfect? Is that what's keeping me from doing the actual task at hand?
Yeah, remember, when you're perfect might be someone's starting point.
Yeah.
You're perfect might go, I have the perfect blueprint. I got this post. I made it this. I don't want to send it because not enough people are going to like it. Not enough hashtags. I gotta wait. Days go by, weeks go by. Shoot, well, that topic already passed. I guess I gotta save it. Or that one person on the other side of the camera, all you gotta do is press share, and what you thought wasn't good enough might have just saved their life.
Yeah.
Or might have just woke them up, or might have just turned them into a 6-figure earner or a new business partner.
Yeah.
And procrastination, perfection are 2 P's that we want to stay away from because it takes us away from the moment. And again, goes back to, what is that person thinking about me? What is that person doing that this is not good enough because of all these expectations that mom, dad, teachers, coaches, mentors, psychologists, doctors, therapists, talk show radio host, Oprah Winfrey, all these people set the bar so high, which is fine, but don't sabotage yourself because your imperfect could be someone else's perfect.
Yeah.
Because imperfect means I am perfect the way I am. I am perfect. Be more imperfect because that's perfect for someone else looking at you.
Yeah, and it's okay if you're realizing, wow, I'm really hard on myself. Because when I was going through that, I was like, wow, I'm really hard on myself. Like, I'm really hard on myself. And when I was actually in that loop, it was when I realized I was hard on myself that I actually admitted it to my friends. And they were like, yeah, you're really hard on yourself. And it made me feel a little bit better and a little bit better. And releasing that restraint that we have on ourselves, which what I noticed is I used to be in victim state. In victim state in my business, in victim state in my life, I was always waiting to respond to life. You know, I was always like waiting for something to happen instead of actually going out and creating the change because I was in a stress out state. And the victim state is, you know, it's such a dark hole and we don't realize we're in it because society kind of condones it. It goes, oh, if you're in a victim state, or poor baby, poor you, your car broke down. Oh my gosh, poor you. I'm sorry. Think about it. We like to feel good in the victim state because, you know, when we were sick, when we were younger, our moms took care of us and we got attention. But what about the attention you'll give yourself when you're not in victim state? What about when you get out of victim state? What if you start really creating your life and realizing, whoa, life isn't happening to me? And if you get a flat tire, it's kind of a sign that you might be in victim state. And so the life will kind of give you those little messages here and there. If you really pay attention, they're called coincidences, but we like to call them synchronicities because nothing is not constructed for you. Everything is you. You just got to own it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep, and I think also as you own it and take your power back, there's a big thing called personal development. And that's the next thing is most people think their development stops once they're stopped going to school. Okay, we've been tailored to, you know, go to preschool, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, graduate school. Once you're done with that, all right, no more learning, go work. So that word work now is determined as, you know, long hours, giving up things like working so hard, getting a paycheck, building a family, yada, yada. But then remember, are you working for yourself? Are you working to improve yourself? Are you just working to make numbers on a screen go up and to make a company that maybe you don't care about too much get a little bit more publicity? You know, when in reality, maybe not going to do much. So my big thing is, you know, and another good quote was, you have to work more on yourself than your product or your business because people buy you. Remember, if you're part of a big Google, people aren't really buying you. They're just giving money to Google because it's such a big search engine. You know, if they're buying Apple products or they're buying Nike, I'm a Nike retail store. Well, they're buying Nike because your brand, your face isn't on their shirt. Yeah. Now you're supporting it, absolutely. But at the end of the day, if you really want to make an improvement in yourself, your best brand and your best product is you. And that's why network marketing has been so big for us, is because you are able to get people to see your vision that will connect dots for their vision, because it's not just do it, it's what, for me, it's come out better. And it's what makes you special and unique, but you have to take time to improve yourself. And some people might think, well, I go to the gym every day. Well, that's a good start. That's good improvement. How many books do you read? You know, how many podcasts are you listening to? Are you going to workshops? I know it's weird to sit down and take notes again because you've done it for so many years, but who says you have to stop? You know, life is learning. You're always learning until the day you die. Mm-hmm. And if you stop learning and you feel like you know it all, you're going to get passed up very quick. And that's another good quote that I like to tell myself is I don't know anything. When I do my I don't know anything. I really don't. Compared to, if you think of how many books are out there,
Yeah.
we know nothing. Absolutely
We
nothing.
barely tapped in.
You use 10% of your brain, if that. You got 90% more. That can hold a lot of information. And so if you're limiting yourself to maybe one book a year, oh, but I listened to a little podcast for 20 minutes on the way to Pilates. That's good. What about after? Or what about tonight? Or what about in the morning? What about saying no, again, to someone who asks you, hey, let's go out to eat, or let's go get a drink, or let's go do this? Are you always saying yes because are you fear of being judged? Are you fear of having failure? Are you fear of making a change and all of a sudden, no, I don't want to go. I'm going to stay in and read it for myself. And they're going to go,
You're being selfish.
and they're going to go, what?
Gotta share
Why are you
yourself.
doing that? That's lame. Come out and have a drink. It's Friday.
Yeah.
And you're going to sit there and go, okay, fine, you're right. Let's go have fun. And I bet when you're sitting there, you're like, I'd just rather be home reading. I'd rather be home reading. But it's the person that can say, no, I know, it's going to be fun. You guys have a great time. I'll catch you next time, but I'm going to stay in and I'm going to read. And that person's going to give you a hard time, and they're going to give you some rejection. They're going to give you some of their words. But again, it has nothing to do with you. It's just them projecting on you that they couldn't do it. Because it's very hard to say no. And self-development is something that you have to be a little selfish with because you're the only one that controls it.
And I feel my followers, a lot of my followers don't drink and do the regular things that society does. So I want to honor you guys for that because I know that you guys are a little bit more conscious. But this whole thing, it can be related to your conscious business. It could be related to spirituality. It could be related to any aspect of your life because we often forget that we're here to be human beings. We're here to be human beings. And in that beingness is being the change. And what's the best way to create a change in the world is to show people who you are, what you're doing, what you're being, what you're like when you're being, what you're like in your business, how you're actually facilitating this change. And so that's why I wanted to share this most with you guys because this really beautiful balance of a masculine and feminine in yourself, in your own business is, you know, the resting and recovering, but also the being, the doing, the going out and making the change so that they can come together and they can birth, they can just make a little love and birth the change. Mm-hmm. Thank you guys so much. We love you.
Bye.